Hey everybody, welcome to Drinkshares Last Call, the show where lower thirds only sometimes work. And I am your host tonight, Joe Treziva, author of Lost Generation. With me is Becky Lieber, who is the author of Proxy and Intrepid, and Kara Weston, author of She Is the End, and
It's
Christine.
like a quiz. Can you remember all our books?
Although the only part that I'm going to mess up is Christine's last name, because in the beginning it got messed up, it got stuck in my brain, and it's Brennicky, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You got it.
Nailed it.
You did it.
Nailed it.
Good.
If you do mess it up at some point, I'm going to go back to how I used to say your name.
That doesn't bother me. Nobody gets it right anyway. And Christine is the author of Seven Shades, The Color of Wine.
Seven Shards. Yeah.
Seven Shards. Seven Shades Shards. I'm sorry.
Written by the sloth from Ice Age.
I've already failed. All right. So I've got a secret question to start off the show. The question is, do you believe in ghosts? And we'll start with Christine.
Okay. I wouldn't say I believe in ghosts, but I allow for the possibility. And I think if they do exist, they're probably not what we think they are. Oh, and I'm introducing myself too, right?
Well, I did a little introduction already.
Okay.
Yeah,
true.
do
All
all do what you got to do.
All right.
Lay it all out there.
I will. My name's Christine Brennicky. Also, C. Brennicky is the name you will see on my book, which is named Seven Shards, The Colors of Wine.
Not shades.
Not shades, no.
Expert tarot master.
Yes.
Oh, not expert. Intermediate.
Yeah, intermediate tarot master.
Yeah. Artist.
Artisan.
Yeah.
Intermediate artisan tarot.
Belly dancing.
Belly dancing wizard.
Belly dancing wizard.
Well, we broke Joe 5 minutes into the show. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, I just got carbonated water out my nose, so that's
The best
good.
part of that was Joe's the one that
You're awake now.
laugh at it until Kara repeated it. That was the best part.
He's like, oh, that was funny.
It sounded funny.
No, somebody else said it.
It sounded funny coming out of somebody else's mouth. Anything else, Christine?
I mean, we don't need my whole resume, so we can move on.
All right, let's go on to Kara.
Okay, hi. Yes,
Hey.
hello.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh yeah, do I believe in ghosts? Well, I think probably no, not in the way that they're generally conceived of, but like the possibility of like things outside of the realm of what we think is just concrete stuff that we can perceive. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I think probably what Christine said is right. Probably, like the things in movies and storybooks are probably not what it really is. But I reserve, total judgment. I don't.
Leave that
I'm
door.
just gonna make a final call on that one.
Yeah, leave that door open. Is there anything you want to tell the audience about yourself?
I'm so tired, guys.
You have a baby on the way.
I do have a baby in my tummy.
How far are you?
And she's sucking out my life. I just started the third trimester.
Have your teeth fallen out?
My teeth have not fallen out. Thanks for that image, though, because that is one of my fears that I have
Brenda's,
dreams about a lot.
Brenda had a lot of teeth problems.
I hate tooth problems.
Her entire bottom teeth are all not real.
From pregnancy?
Yes, yeah, like sucked all the calcium out, and then
Damn.
now they just kind of took them out and then put sweet new ones in. They're not you can't take them out. They're just sweet bonus ones that they put on top of them.
Yeah.
My mom lost
There are
a lot
a
of her
couple
teeth after she was pregnant with me. So by the time that my sister was
Yeah.
born, she basically had to have all of her back molars taken out, and she's only 54 and she already has false teeth.
Yeah, let me tell you. Little known fact, maybe you know, pregnancy is a nightmare for a lot of women.
I gave my mom a vitiligo. Well, not like I gave it to her, but she got it from,
Take this,
from
bitch.
making me.
Yeah.
Way to bring me into the world. I'm gonna show you.
Babies.
Oh yes, it's terrible.
Little known fact: babies are not unlike dementors, and they're just sitting there like sucking
And they make
That's
it
life force
They
out of
really,
you.
really
Life
cold.
This is why I refer to them
No,
as parasites.
everything's hot. It's really warm and everywhere.
So you should get a baby and a Dementor at the same time.
No, then you would die.
Cancel out the temperature.
But anyway, I should stop complaining. I'm the author of She Is the End. The first half is out to beta readers, and I'm really scared of the comments that I'm gonna get back. I'm sure it'll be fine and very helpful, but it's like, you know, anybody who's ever been critiqued on anything knows what it's like to have to sit through somebody pointing out all of the flaws in something that you really care about. But it's good. It's necessary.
Is this the first time anyone but Alex and the clips that you have on the site have been read? Like someone else besides Alex has read it?
No, I've shown bits and pieces here and there throughout the years.
But never in its entirety.
Yeah, never in its entirety. I mean, I showed the first probably 30,000 words around when I finished all that. Or when it finished, because it was not finished. But I showed it around to a few friends and got back a lot of really good feedback then on things that are like, this seems like you're going somewhere, but I don't understand where it is, or this is really melodramatic and you need to tone it back a little bit, you know, stuff like that. So no, it's not the first time, but it's the first time in such a state as it is now. But let's see, other than that, I'm just trying to get my manuscript to Inkshares before this baby's born, that's all. Just trying to get it in less than 10 weeks. Pretty much.
Excellent.
And that's all I got.
Becky, ghosts.
So,
how do you feel about them?
I'm actually really prepared to answer this question.
Awesome.
Because I, ever since I was little, have been really fascinated by paranormal stuff. It started because I developed a very intense phobia of aliens and alien abduction. I don't know where it happened. I just remember my dad had a copy of Whitley Strieber's, what's it called? The one with the big gray alien on the front of it with like the terrifying black eyes. I can't remember what it's called.
Hey, I remember that book. It
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I did. I saw it upstairs in my parents' room one time, and I realized that was the fuel of my nightmares. Like, that's what I was dreaming about. So I became convinced at a very early age that I was being abducted by aliens.
Uh-huh.
And I read a lot of paranormal books and watched sightings and unsolved mysteries and all that stuff as a kid. So when I was really little, I was super believed, like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Loch Ness Monster, all of it. And if it was a show on TV about it, I would watch it. And as I became older and more scientific minded, I was fascinated by the idea of people trying to use science to answer these questions. And I actually read a book a couple of years ago called Spook when I was doing prep for proxy, because a lot of the science, the rubber science in proxy for like the souls and energy and stuff like that, came out of the pseudosciences of people studying the soul and what happens after death. And I read a quote, I think it was by Einstein, that said he believed in ghosts because energy can never be created or destroyed. And since basically we are huge batteries that run on electricity, that once that energy is created, it has to go somewhere. And that was what gave me the idea that since consciousness is energy in our brains, it must exist afterwards. And that's kind of a lot of the science that went into how reincarnation works in my book. But it's something that I believe something definitely happens to the energy of our body, whether we go to some special place afterwards or not, I don't know. But my sister also recently began to purchase my grandparents' home. She was renting it to own it. And my grandma was always convinced that my great-grandma was still there because she died very suddenly. Her heart, for lack of a better word, literally exploded. And when my sister moved in, weird shit started to happen. Like my sister would come home from work and her cat would be in the dryer with the door shut.
Oh.
Happened 3 times. She said the faucet would turn on, the oven would turn on. There was a period when my grandmother was actually in the hospital. They couldn't keep a light bulb in like certain rooms of the house. So like the bathroom light would blow out. They would replace it by the next day, they'd have to replace it again. So boxes, when she was moving, they would slide around the house. Shit would go missing. She'd find it a week later. It was really freaking her out. Like she almost decided not to live there. And then the day my grandma got out of the hospital, it stopped. Like she hasn't happened since. It was really weird. So something's definitely going on. I just don't have the scientific capacity or understanding. Humans in general probably just don't have the understanding to be able to explain it. But I'm definitely fascinated by the topic.
Awesome. What else you got going on? Anything you want to?
I am working on Intrepid right now, which is my second project I've had in the oven. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with Proxy now that my campaign has ended, and I had to kind of cut it short and basically cancel it halfway through the summer with me starting my new job. So I'm not sure if I'm going to move it over to Chanillo, where I'm hosting Intrepid currently. I am going to post another chapter or 2 Intrepid this week, so I will have my 3rd chapter up. I have like 5 or 6 followers already, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah. But Chanillo is really cool because it's a serial, so you basically post it as you go, and a lot of people do novels chapter by chapter, or they do like graphic novels, or vignettes where they just do little articles or blogs or things like that, which is really cool. So there's all kinds of different media that you can read on there. But I'm mostly focusing on Intrepid now while I try and figure out what I want to do next with Proxy and what avenues I want to look into for whether I want to host it and on like a pay site or I want to look into other avenues for publishing.
Cool.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now, on top of learning how to be a special ed teacher. So,
yeah, you've got a full plate right now.
Yeah, I'm a little busy, but I'm really happy right now. Even though like I should be devastated, I'm so like there's so much fulfillment with my job right now of being back in my home school where I grew up. I see my dad every day. I'm with people that I genuinely enjoy working with right now. I know it's only been 2 weeks, so I'm a little worried. I'm getting like really excited, but the English teacher I co-teach with is basically me. We're both really sarcastic. We're both really nerdy. We're clicking. So it's going really well. So it's okay that this sadness is happening because I have happiness to neutralize it. So
nice.
Yeah, things are good right now.
So I'll go answer the question. I'll say, hell yeah, I believe in ghosts.
Hell yeah.
My grip on sanity is really goes minute by minute. And anything is possible. Like just because what my just because the observations that I've had for these last 33 years are one way, just like some stuff could go blasting through this wall at any minute and everything could change. And I think that
like Stranger Things style.
Sure.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, like the flower or the whatever.
Wait, have all of us watched that?
Yeah.
Yeah, has everybody seen Stranger Things?
That needs to be a future episode.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. Yeah, we should do a spoiler cast.
Oh my gosh, we totally should. Really yeah. I'm making Alex watch The Goonies right now.
Nice.
Because he's never seen The Goonies. And I don't remember what the girl's name is, but there's a girl who has like the big glasses and the haircut sort of like Barb. Yeah. Anyway, every time I'm like, Barb!
So Muro really wanted to watch it, and I let him because that's what responsible dads do, and he was totally into it. And if I would have watched Stranger Things when I was his age, he's almost 6, I would have peed myself 100 times and then never slept ever. And
think about all the writing you'd have done.
Oh my gosh, he is so into it. And he's like telling me, like he told me that there's that they're working on a 2nd season before I heard about it. Like that's how he
find out about that.
He probably heard about it from Brenda or something. So yeah, for going back to the ghost thing, I like to keep an open mind and just see what happens. Anything is possible. Even to the point of like when I'm really like sleepy, if I've been like kind of burning the candle both ways, like if I see something weird, and then I'm just like, uh-oh, this is happening, I just roll with it. I'll roll with
Just
anything.
roll with
Like if I was doing with like a Cthulhu kind of thing where like you got to have like sanity checks and stuff, I would lose immediately. My sanity check is the lowest.
No
It's
sanity.
just the lowest. It's like one step, like one weird thing away from being like I'm gone. So, so yeah, don't take me on your old god adventure because I won't be much use.
One of the jokes that I make in Proxy is like when Finn is trying to explain to her all of the stuff going on, and she's just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And he's like, "Wow, you're taking this really, really well." And she makes the joke about like, people like me just sit around waiting for this to happen. I was inspired by the fact that from childhood, I have pretty much been sitting around waiting for some paranormal thing to happen. Like when I was in high school and people knew that I believed in aliens and UFOs, I would get teased about it, and I'm like, "Wait, when it happens, you're all going to think." Man, I just tore the Mickey out of Becky in high school, and she was right all along.
Yeah.
So when 2012 came around, I was like, please, 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 let this be the day. And I mean, like, it's my birthday and everything. Come on, let's go. But when I was little, like the first like ghost encounter that I had, it was 4th of July, and we had gone down to the park for the fireworks show, and they had those glow necklaces on sale. And so I came home, I threw it on my dresser, and we went over to my grandparents' house to sit on their big front porch and like, just at the evening. And my grandma was like, "So what'd you get at the park?" I was like, "Oh, I'll go get it for you." So I run next door to grab my glow in the dark necklace, and as I opened the door to my room, it was spinning in midair. Like the ghost was like, "Ooh, what's this thing?" And then I was like, "Oh shit!" And it just drops. And my sister was right behind me, and my sister and I still talk about that to this day. And then Wyatt swears to God that a creepy woman that he called the White Lady stared at him in the shower when we lived in the apartment.
All right, so
it was me.
It turns out it was Christine. So let's. This is an hour episode, so we'll cut it. We'll jump into some other stuff.
We should get into it.
But I think that we should definitely make an episode that is just called ghosts and aliens and like ghosts and shit. And because we got I think there's a lot of meat on the bone here.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that, does anybody want to talk about anything they're reading or drinking? I know that a lot of us can't drink or won't or aren't drinking right now. So I figured rather than going all the way around, we just see if anybody has anything they specifically want to call out.
I guess I'm making up for not only lost time, but those who can't drink, because I decided, I just got off a 4-day weekend, in which I did quite a bit of drinking. How should I end my weekend? Oh, tequila.
Whoa.
We had some tequila at the house, and we also had some grapefruit soda. So I mixed the grapefruit soda and tequila together, which is actually really good. And then I added a dash of orange juice to it. So, but it's not a lot of tequila. I was very, very stringent on the
Is your
amount.
cup two-toned or is it separated?
No, it's like a thick glass bottom.
Okay.
Because it's actually like a dark blue-black color. It's just hard to tell in this part when there's liquid in it, but this part down here is just really thick glass. And there's cat hair stuck to it. Don't mind that.
Nice.
We can't see that.
Cat hair is there. It's dog hair in our house. It's like it's just everything.
Yeah, it's like its own layer.
Christine, you were saying before the show that you invented it.
I invented a drink.
Ooh, what is it?
What is it?
All right, there's some spice rum and some root and some of this Fuji apple soda. Let me try to get that where you can see it. Available at Target, and some lime juice with some cinnamon on top, and it tastes like actual apple cider.
That sounds really good. What else did you get at Target last time? There was some kind of soda or drink.
That was the rose lemonade.
The rose lemonade. That's what it was.
Very, very, very good. It's not both of these sodas are in like they're like in like the healthy chips section, not in the soda section for some reason.
Weird.
I need to go
healthy
to Target.
chips and then have some soda.
Yeah.
That's where I get my sleep aids, because they have the little Ollie gummy things that basically they're like melatonin and I think thiamine or vitamin B or something. It's a bunch of like healthy sleep stuff, but it's a gummy, and I get those, and then I have really great dreams. So I need to go back to Target and get some more, so I can check for fun drinks.
So it's Kara's birthday last week.
It is.
Kara, what song would you like us to try to sing to you?
Okay.
Oh man,
It's your
I want to
turn.
make you sing something really terrible.
Whatever it is, let's give it a
Sweetheart,
shot.
whatever we
There's no
sing will be
guarantee.
really terrible. So
We tried
Wait.
sex feedback earlier,
think-
so whatever you.
We
Yeah.
know many Lonely Island songs.
yes,
I don't know any of the lyrics.
I had a
anymore.
pretty sweet rendition.
So
I
isn't there part of I threw it on the ground where there's a birthday? You just sing that.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's like the one I don't know that well.
I just know the part.
I threw it on the ground.
You say like something where he's like,
It's,
"You're not my dad."
oh yeah,
no.
it's somebody hands him a phone.
Yeah. Give me a phone and I threw it on the ground.
Anyway, okay, since none of you know that one,
Mhm.
you tease me with the Lonely Island, and then none of you know it. Then
They were singing before you got on. They were singing.
Yeah, we were singing 2 songs earlier.
I bet it was just filled with profanity.
It sure was.
Yep.
You have to sing. Do we have time for singing?
Is there anything from the chat? This is a 2-parter, so if we go over
Okay.
a bit, it'll be
Then
fine.
you-
And is the chat saying anything from a song perspective? I don't have
No,
the chat
they're not
open
saying
because I'm
anything.
hosting.
Songs, guys. If I could spell guys correctly.
We'll try anything.
No, I think you should sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Oh, God.
You should know the words to that.
I only know the one part.
Oh.
I know the chorus.
Ain't
Yeah.
no mountain
High
high
enough.
There you go.
Ain't no ocean low enough.
Ain't no river wide enough.
You'll
get you
Kara,
made.
it's your birthday.
Okay, all right. I'll take it.
Yay.
That was the best.
Acceptable.
That was really good.
That
All
was
right.
tolerable.
That was really, really good.
It
Okay.
could have been
And
worse.
I'm very impressed.
Well, excellent.
Sure.
All right. 25 minutes into our hour show.
Like a
Let's get to the topic. So we were talking about crowdfunding, which is something that is, I think, near and possibly dear relative to everybody's experiences to our hearts.
Indeed.
And
Wait, there it is.
let-
Oh, jeez.
I found the thing.
let's
Okay, go ahead.
let's lay it down in how do you sum up your experience in crowdfunding in 3 words or less? And the chat can join in on this too.
Mm.
And we'll do the same rotation. Christine, crowdfunding, 3 words or
All
less.
right. Roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, emotional roller coaster. I'm just gonna go with that. To those 2 words. Emotional roller coaster.
Awesome. So, Kara, what's your thoughts? 3 words.
Exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
but worthwhile.
Mm.
Awesome.
I made it.
All right, Becky, what do you
False hope, self-deprecating.
got?
Because so many people follow you, and you're like, "This is gonna be amazing," and then like 5 people buy it, and you're like, "What the fuck? I have 752 followers, and only 5 of you have $10. Like, I hate you all. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Come back. Tell your friends."
Here's the secret: all those followers just want you to buy their book.
Yeah.
At least on Twitter, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
mine would be, yeah. Is there one word for deep emotional sadness?
Oh.
Melancholy.
No, not melancholy. Not
Morose.
Not like morose. Morose.
So morose about.
Draining.
Training.
Fulfilling.
Question
Like,
mark?
people do it for a reason, right? And
All right. How about angst? PH is helping you out. Angst.
and yeah.
Mel-
Oh yeah, like angst
Melancholy.
is a big part. I just when the funding was done, I was so emotionally exhausted that it was non-functional for over a month. And I don't know if there's like one word to sum that up.
Oh God, I think it took me a good 3 months to kind of get over the like panic-ish
Yeah,
state
it's
of
very true. There's like post-traumatic stress for
Yeah.
crowdfunding.
Scott Carr says, "Arg."
I like the
That's his
I
word.
like the term hangover.
Yeah, there's a
Like-
serious thing. There's a crowdfunding.
Like, yeah, a crowdfunding hangover. Yeah.
Kara, you were going to do a Kickstarter campaign before jumping into Inkshares, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah. And I was almost to the point of starting the campaign. And my current, well, she was future sister-in-law, my brother-in-law's girlfriend, now they're married, messaged me on Facebook and was like, look, check out this thing with the Nerdist. And I was like, And I looked at the terms of publishing and everything, and it seemed like a really good deal. And so I just figured I'd try it, and there's nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, it's fine. No big deal. So I already had a synopsis written and a tagline and the video filmed. We just hadn't finished editing it yet, but I got it out like a week later. So I had a cover that I've been working on for like a year. So I had all my stuff ready to go, and I just like transferred my mindset over to Inkshares instead of Kickstarter. But I'm still a really big fan of Kickstarter. I love Kickstarter. I fund projects on there all the time.
So that kind of brings us into our next topic, the crowdfunding in general versus funding on Kickstarter. What do you, Kara, feel like? What's the call out big differences between the two? Just for anybody who's kind of coming in at this and looking at those differences.
Right. Well, Kickstarter is for anything. Inkshares is just books. Kickstarter, the person creating the project can set the levels of money that people can contribute and the rewards that they get for those contributions. So it can be just pre-ordering your book. It could be very straightforward. Same thing as Inkshares, it could be. But it doesn't have to be. You could set a $1 level, you could set a $100 level, and give away all sorts of things as backer rewards.
Right.
Whereas for Inkshares, you can't do that. I mean, you could do it, I guess, in some sort of structure outside of what Inkshares has built for what people contribute. But as far as the money that they give you, it's just they're just pre-ordering your book in different ways.
One thing that I thought was pretty fascinating, still fascinating, is going through this whole Inkshares process, that there are tons and tons of books that fund on Kickstarter, and Inkshares has been around for a little bit now, and you see these books that come in and just like crush Kickstarter, you know, like with big kind of people that are well known and kind of blast through like $20,000 goals where like trying to like get like 100 orders and like dying, and it always makes me wonder, is there like should those people be coming looking for something like Inkshares to publish this at work, or is for people that are trying to make that work, is Kickstarter good enough? Because with one,
I don't know. Well, you're just looking for different things. I mean, if you go to Kickstarter to fund the publication of your book, unless you're an independent press, which lots of them do, publish their books through Kickstarter, they do what Inkshares does, but they just use Kickstarter as the seed money for each book that they publish. What was I saying?
Yeah.
What was I saying?
It's what different people are looking for.
It's
Well, for one thing, Kickstarter has, I don't even know how many, a gazillion people on it. There are a lot of people who might potentially see your book. I'm sure way, way more than eyes will see your project on Inkshares.
That's fair.
So there's that. And I think that there's a set of established contributors who are on Kickstarter because they want to just sift through projects, find stuff that's cool, and they want to give money to it. That's what they're there for. And I'm not sure that there are that many people like that on Inkshares who are just there, not because they're trying to fund their own thing, but because they just genuinely want to give their money. I mean, I'm sure that
There's
that's the
definitely
goal.
some.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, well,
but
I
I
mean,
think
like,
there's probably 10 to 100-fold more on Kickstarter.
I say, like,
It's just been
I
around longer.
I funded my book through Inkshares, and I feel like I'm like the only other person that's browsing and trying to back books. You know?
I'm sure you're not.
It feels very lonely. I wish they would link you up with people. They'd be like, other people are backing, you know, a bunch of books too. You should meet these people. And
well, and that's the thing you don't have on Kickstarter is you don't have people saying, "Hey, I have a project. I'll fund your project if you help fund my project. You scratch your back or my back, I'll scratch yours." Like, I don't think that's a thing as much on Kickstarter where people are expecting an exchange.
I think. Well, I think on
think
Kickstarter,
there's someone like I'm sure Reddit channels for Kickstarter. I'm sure that goes on, but
I think like
we're kind of. We're forgetting to mention that Inkshares takes care of like the whole end part of the process.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to saying that part of it yet. Yeah, is that that Kickstarter is not going to publish your book. You get the money, and then you got to fulfill your own rewards, which costs part of the money that you get, and you still have to publish it. So hire a freelance editor, pay for your own cover, do all of that jazz. Whereas Inkshares,
your IP number.
Yeah, Inkshares does that for you if you reach full publishing.
Right.
So they're an actual publisher. That's what they do.
Yeah, so it kind of comes down to, you know, like some people want to have control over like all of those end details, and other people would, you know, very much like someone else to take that off their hands.
In there, going back to the thing of people like, you know, people on Inkshares coming back and saying like, oh, hey, fund my book, I'll fund yours. I feel like the ask on Kickstarter is way higher, you know, from a financial standpoint. Even like books that people are putting together are for the most part are, you know, $20,000 goals or something like that, where it would be a lot more because the threshold is higher on Kickstarter. It's becomes less feasible to be like, you know, hey, you know, I gotta only, you know, for $5 each or whatever, you know, I only gotta hit up, you know, 100,000 people to get to my goal. You know, it's like it becomes less feasible, I think, when there's a higher dollar amount.
Well, I mean, I did a lot of research into Kickstarter and how to do a good Kickstarter project, and as I recall, successful publishing projects were around $3,000 to $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's generally what they were. Now there are really big projects too, of course, but I think those are outliers.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's usually $3,000 to $5,000, and then there will be those projects that are $100, $200. They just want to fund a cover or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's other options, and I'm not as familiar with these, and I don't know if anybody else is and can talk on them. Unbound and Indigo. Does anybody have experience on those that can say, hey, here's the details, and this is what it's all about?
I haven't looked into them, but I've heard some people that looked into Unbound. I think it's in the UK.
Yes, Unbound is British, and I believe you have to, I think they vet the project, so you have to get approved before they'll even let you run one. I don't know much else about it, but Indiegogo.
Indiegogo.
I was confused by that too, because I've heard it both ways.
Let's look that up.
Let me do a quick search on that too.
A reason we might.
It's Indiegogo.
Sounds dumb for no reason. Okay, so I believe that one you get the money whether you reach your goal or not. I think you have an option of saying like, hey, you know, we're trying to open a bakery, and if you can contribute money, we're going to try to hit this goal because we can do these things. If not, we're going to take that money and we're going to continue working towards that goal, and we're going to try to do it other ways. So it just kind of works a different avenue. So now I'm going to look at this. Please filter me as I look at the notes. Yeah, I looked between Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and I picked Kickstarter, but I don't exactly remember why. I think Kickstarter just has a bigger pool of people that might see your project, or maybe more successful publishing project. Maybe.
So we've got some things under here, and for funding as far as reaching people, and I think some of the stuff we've covered in like some of our like draft stuff. So maybe we won't touch so much on it. But just in like the standpoint of how you get that outreach and how you communicate with your audience or get people in. We have some things out there. Email. I think we've all kind of experienced sending like email requests, direct email requests.
And the reason why like the experts really recommend emailing over everything else is because people take that more seriously than they do. I mean, one-to-one, like actual face-to-face communication is great, but if as far as like sending a text or sending a Facebook message, like email is seen as the best, because when people are checking their email, they're in more of like a serious mindset of getting more important things done. So they're just a little more likely to read your entire message and act on it.
I have a question for the group. Because we have kind of two modes of communication. We have these direct messages, and those are kind of time consuming, because then you're hitting up every single person with a personal message, and also the most effective. From a mass standpoint, from a mass communication standpoint, we get a ton of those. I think we all get a ton of those. And what, in your opinions, stands out to you? What do you think is effective? What would make you, from when you're getting a mass mail, would make you fund a project, buy a book? For anybody who's crowdfunding, what works?
I'll tell you what won't, or what will
lay it on us.
Not is if you mass email me with a ton of other people. Don't be BCC, and I didn't sign up for your stinking email list or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how did you find me?
Yes.
Inkshares must have give away some of our email addresses. I understand that, but still, at least BCC. Come on. And also, it's just lazy. Just individually email people. Just individually.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think any kind of mass marketing thing has ever worked, specifically talking about Inkshares. Like the success that I had was with individual messages to people, but it was also because I was genuinely interested in their book. I got a lot of followers just by reaching out to people when I was doing the draft share stuff, and I thought that their work was decent, or that I was interested in it, or that it needed more exposure. And I was reaching out to them saying, hey, you should look into this. This will benefit you. And then it started a dialogue between us, and then we started talking. And I know that's one of the ways that I had PH be part of my crowd, because somebody mentioned him in Slack. I reached out to him, I looked at his book. I thought it was really cool. And I don't even remember how the communication started, but we just started communicating around the time of draft shares, and he bought my book. And I believe I bought one of his too, or at least I pre-ordered it or something. I don't remember. If I haven't, I'm sorry. But I know that communication started, and I would buy a copy because of that connection that we made. But anybody will tell you that's a way to get somebody on your side. That's one of the things that they talk about when you're teacher training. The best way to communicate with a kid is to get down on their level. And the only way that you can do that when you're marketing is to individualize the message you need to get to people. Now, that's not saying that you need to stalk the person so you understand what they like. So you could go in there and be like, hey, I see you like the St. Louis Cardinals. I like the St. Louis Cardinals too. And then start a fake friendship so they buy your book. That is not what I'm saying. But a person is more likely,
authentic friendship.
Right. A person is more likely to give you the time of day if you are genuinely invested in what their lives are about, rather than say, hey, I see the last 6 books you bought are the same genre as the one I'm writing. Would you be interested in mine?
Yeah, and remember, especially when you're doing Inkshares to Inkshares, we're not your personal audience. We're your peers on the platform.
So also your competition. People tend to forget that.
Well, we're not competing. I mean, if you're in a contest, you are competing, but in general, we're not competing.
I like to not think of it as competition, especially since, even in the long run, if somebody only has $10 that month to spend on a book, and they have to pick between books, then in that sense, you might be competing for that reader's $10 with another book. But if you form a network and you like are nice to each other and talk about each other's work, somebody reads the one book that they bought, and then they get a recommendation from that author or something, then they might also next buy your book.
Yeah, it's like about paying it forward and building networking, building connections.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on this. An idea came up, and I wanted to share it with you guys. What if the movie Groundhog Day, except for the way to get out of the whole Groundhog time loop situation, was you had to successfully fund a project that day?
Oh my God.
And you did it over and over and over again. You had to like learn about people and like figure out what was working in like the community.
Do you think like what would happen first? Would they fund the book first, or would they just go completely insane and die first?
It doesn't matter if you die, because you just come back.
You can't die.
Oh, right.
You can't die. You live over and over and over again,
man.
and then you're either a raving lunatic in a time loop, or you get your book funded.
Well, if you only have 24 hours to do it, that's insane.
Well, I mean, you gotta, but it's just over and over again, and
I mean, your skills would improve, but
how to get ran over by a truck funded in 3 days.
I think your best bet would
longer than a day.
There's no guarantee that that she wasn't in a Groundhog Day like situation. Anything is possible.
Your best bet would be to like put all of your energy into figuring out a way to clone yourself, and then once you've achieved that, you have a chance.
I don't want to fight with you on this, but it's not possible to fund a book in 1 day from 0 orders. Okay,
I think
unless you have something built before you start, like how to get run over by a truck. She had a ton of stuff, like a structure set in place with lots of people involved before she started her campaign, like beforehand. So it wasn't just in 3 days. She did probably months of work for that.
And technically it's not just 1 day, because you live it over and over again until it funds. You have a lot of time.
Nobody remembers. It's not the same thing. I don't want to fight with you. This is a terrible question. And you're terrible for having asked it. No,
I think it's a wonderful question, and it's going to be the next book I fund on Inkshares. I'll create a draft page tonight.
No, you'd be doing stuff like just cheating. That's a cheating situation. Or just paying people $10 to spend $10 on your book.
So there's an interesting insight in our notes that the crowdfunding audience is more of an investor than a buyer. Since they're paying for the product to exist, they're not paying to necessarily. They're paying to get the product. They're also paying to make the product possible. And I was wondering if any of you guys wanted to kind of give your thoughts on the differences between that relationship, and the expectations can be different too. I think on Kickstarter we've seen a lot of projects blow up when people become very emotionally connected to the product and the end result, and then when it doesn't quite execute like it should, then they become your most passionate customers become your nightmare,
Well, I mean, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about something else.
Were you thinking about Groundhog Day?
No.
Was it Bill Murray?
What was the question?
Oh, Kara.
The question was about the relationship between the creator and the consumer in a off-the-shelf kind of situation versus a crowdfunding situation.
I definitely got the sense when I was in my campaign that generally people were not scrambling to read my book. They were trying to support me as a person. Because I was asking them, please help me make my publishing dreams come true. I need your help, please. And like, I think a lot of them probably don't care so much, at least of the people that I know personally. They're doing it because they care about me. Strangers, on the other hand, if I met strangers and I was like, this is the product that I'm selling, then they're probably in it for the product itself. So maybe there's that difference there between your personal network of people that you know versus complete strangers buying your book.
And it's really important to realize that, because that's going to shape how you like communicate to your readers when you're pitching them for the first time. Like, you know, when you go in strong with like a giant synopsis and like, here's all this stuff about my book, like, and then at the very bottom it's like, will you order a copy? Like, people aren't going to get to that call to action at the very bottom when you're front loading it with a ton of content that they might not be that interested in.
Right. Do you think, from the standpoint of people investing in a product, like, how do you guys feel about, in a lot of times in Kickstarter situations, people who back a product, they feel invested in a way of where, like, they feel like they have partial ownership of the product.
Oh, well, yeah.
And then if it doesn't quite go the way that they want it to, then you know, it's kind of, they get real mad.
But I think
like,
you
what
really
are your thoughts on that?
Are you feeling anxious, Joe?
No.
Okay,
I will write my book, and then I will be satisfied with the end product. I'm just thinking from the larger standpoint. There's been a lot of high profile, you know, Kickstarter stories of people. You know, somebody releases a game from a legendary director, or a piece of software or hardware that seems to be too good to be true, and it's sells millions and millions and millions, way above their goals, and then when it comes out, it's like that hype train, especially when it like becomes in the beginning of the process. You know, this is like, you're funding at the very beginning, and then you have potentially years before the product is real. And in that time, you have this churn of expectations and people building it and making the product what they want it to be, and which may not necessarily be what it is.
This is an interesting conversation, theoretically, but I don't think any of us are in that position as novice authors. I don't think anybody's going to be building our books up in their minds to some amazing thing and like really investing in it emotionally before they come out. I just don't. We're not in the same position, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. And well, what is your thought? Like, what is your thought of that process?
So you just want to talk about that, even though it doesn't really apply to any of us?
Well, yeah. We're talking about Kickstarter. We're talking about crowdfunding.
I want to make a statement. I want to say something first before we shift gears or don't shift gears, whatever. I think one of the things that, while you're crowdfunding, you really have to find a way to push is the idea of, as you guys were talking about, like investing in the idea. A lot of people would be really excited to get on the ground floor of something. That's why people buy stocks. You know, they like the idea of feeling like they contributed to it. And then, 10 years down the line, if something does happen, they have the first copy, or they have their name in the credits of a video game or something. That's why beta is so popular in video games, because they offer all these really cool perks to be able to say, I was the person that corrected this thing in the game and they fixed that because of this. So if you have a copy of a book and you read a line and say, oh yeah, originally this was completely different, but I said, hey, this needs to be fixed or whatever, you have stake in that. You have buy-in. And so the idea of selling the art as a flexible medium that they're going to be part of, that's all part of the crowdfunding too. It's not just saying, hey, you like this stuff, I like this stuff, let's make this stuff happen. It's, we are building something new and you can be part of that. And people like to be included in stuff. They like to feel like their opinion matters and that it's being taken seriously. And if they're not an artistic person or somebody who is creative, then that is a way that they can collaborate and contribute to something that is.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yes.
So
yes.
from...
Thank you for agreeing, Kara.
Yeah.
We have a note here in our that crowdfunding is more about momentum than awareness, and people won't act if they think they have months and months to commit. You know, it's kind of like you have to get that urgency going and get people to.
Yeah, I would even recommend don't say your campaign runs from now until the end of January. Don't tell them that. Just make it sound like they need to act right now. Because if you tell them they have until January, they will wait until the end of January, and they might forget at that point.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
The people are busy, and even if somebody says they're going to pre-order your book, it's very, very easy to forget. And to get people to, it's good to, if you can, without being a dick, to get people to commit and execute in as much as possible in front of you, you know, because without that, odds are once you've kind of disconnected with them and they're off to be distracted by the 100 other things, 100,000 other things, the millions of things in the world to distract you, they're not really thinking about your book, because even if it's something that they love, they might still, you know, completely space on it. There's definitely things I've seen before is like, oh, geez, that thing's over.
Or that thing's still going on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still doing that thing? That's precious.
Or I thought your book came out last year. No, it's not out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, when was that thing going to start?
Well, that shows you how much they're paying attention to the book itself. They think
that's the problem if you're crowdfunding. If you're crowdfunding and people are like, "Oh, your book came out," that's a problem. You are crowdfunding wrong. Okay.
Right.
Well, some people are just oblivious, though. There's no getting.
Some people are, but if you haven't made a concerted effort,
well, I mean that's what it is, though. They want to support you, but they're not that interested in the project.
Yeah. Some people
AKA
are just
mom.
Or like my grandma or something, you know.
Yeah.
My husband's uncle.
People have a lot going on. Can't keep track of everything.
Joe, I wanted to tell you about what you were asking about before.
Yes.
And I don't really have a comment on the crashing and burning thing, because I haven't been emotionally invested in any ones that crash and burn. I'm sure that it's very easily for me to get emotionally invested in things, but nothing has crashed and burned so far. But when I went and saw the Veronica Mars movie on the day it came out, it was so exciting to be in that theater and to look around at other people and try and figure out who else here was back her, who else here backed this. We did this, people. We did it. We came together. This movie exists because of us. Yeah.
Could you imagine if they would have successfully been able to bring back Firefly in any capacity after all the support that it
There's still hope. There's still hope.
I'm sorry, they're getting too old.
Well, they might do an animated version.
An animated version would be cool, but there's no way that Nathan Fillion is strapping back into his tight pants. It's not going to happen.
Animated.
They could make it super tight pants if they animated it.
Yeah, I would be okay with a computer animated, not just an animated drawn, but a animated.
There's a guy out there that did almost like a teaser trailer, I guess, of it.
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was because more was going to happen or if he just did that.
I don't know.
Fun.
It looks like a school project to me, like an animation school project. I don't know.
Yeah, Kara brought up a really good point while we're kind of riffing on that Bruce Campbell can come back, so Nathan Fillion can come back. That's what you said. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for hearing me.
And I think that anything is possible if you believe hard enough. So
the difference between Bruce Campbell and Nathan Fillion is I genuinely believe that Nathan Fillion is a glorious human being, and Bruce Campbell was nothing but a dick to me when I was a teenager and I met him. So that's the difference.
There you go.
Brenda met Danzig once, and he was a huge asshole to her.
I
And
heard
she
we were
really
actually just having a conversation about that the other day about what a huge dick he is because my buddy Roger has met him too.
Yeah, and she really liked Danzig, and then she met him, and then he like kind of like looked past her and started hitting on her sister, and she was pissed.
Well, I know what my unsolicited information is advice is for tonight.
Well, lay it on us since we're wrapping up. We're winding around to 9 o'clock. This is an hour episode, so because we're experimenting with different.
We're
formats.
experimenting.
Experimenting. Sometimes the words just don't come out right. And,
good thing you're not a writer or anything.
Well, I'm a writer, not a speaker. So now that we're experimenting and we're trying different formats, we're trying multi-part episodes, trying to figure out if what works for the format. Do you want to lay some drunk opinions on us, Becky?
Well, just my usual unsolicited advice, and since it's fresh off what we were just talking about, my unsolicited advice tonight is don't meet your heroes. I have met three famous people. One, I was really little, and he was a country singer that I liked when I was a kid, and he was charming because I was 5. The other one was Bruce Campbell, and I have a picture of him flipping me off when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Which is probably worth money. And then I met Matt Smith, and it wasn't that Matt Smith was a jerk or anything, it was that it ruined the illusion. In fact, I purposely avoided meeting James Marsters and the chick that played Drusilla. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. They were together.
Chat?
What's that?
I'm just saying chat might know.
Yeah, chat, help me out, because I follow her on Twitter. I just can't think of her name right now. But anyway, they were in side-by-side booths at the first St. Louis Comic-Con that I went to. And it was cool to see them, but I knew if I walked up and James Marsters did not have a British accent, which he does not because he's from California, it would ruin my world. So I avoided talking to them. The thing about meeting your heroes, especially if you're trying to emulate them, if they are something that you are aspiring to be, like an actor or a writer or something like that, you have the ideal that is almost a motivation, and you have the real thing, and once they blend together, one almost ruins the other. Like, knowing what they are in real life, knowing that they're a human being almost ruins the fact that you look at them as a hero. So it sounds sad and depressing, but avoid doing it. Like, if I had the chance to meet Joss Whedon, I don't know if I would, because I look at him as such an iconic figure of everything that I love. I don't know that knowing he's a regular human being, I'd ever be able to look at his work the same. So best advice I can give you is don't meet your heroes. Sometimes it works out and it's great, but not all the time.
See, and you were trying to get me to talk to Charlie Jane Anders at WisCon, and I was like...
I was trying to do that because I wanted you to break out of your shell, and I would have been really proud of you. And that was for networking.
It was probably maybe someday. I don't know. Sorry.
See, I take the opposite approach from Becky, where I make the assumption that everybody is just as much of a schlub as I am. So when I meet them, and then they're like, kind of like, not exactly what like a paragon of charm, then I'm like, all right, exactly what I expected. You've met
that bar.
Yeah, you've met the very low bar I've set for you. You look like the person that I saw on TV, and you speak my language, and we had a word exchange. So excellent. You've passed all the metrics, and I will go on with my life.
Well, just for what it's worth, when you meet real-life Inkshares authors, they do not disappoint.
Because we are not already celebrities. So we're still...
Oh, yeah.
Most of us are still
I've
humble.
met 3 whole people so far, and they were all really cool.
But we're still humble and genuine and have integrity.
Okay, so like
Some of us.
once we reach superstardom, that's
No,
gonna
because
change.
that's the goal. That's like the goal I've set. If I ever hit any kind of celebrity status, even if it's just like internet celebrity or like a cult following of people that like my work, I don't ever want to be a dick to them. I don't ever want to blow them off because I've been them. And the best example I can see of that is I saw something going around BuzzFeed the other day. The kid on Stranger Things with the really curly hair has made a point on his Instagram that whenever people notice him, he asks to take a picture with them to put on his Instagram and not the other way around.
Yeah, and he
puts like these really great
really cute.
Like, I met so and so.
Like, if I didn't love him enough already, just from him being him and my favorite character on Stranger Things, that would be enough for me to love him forever. So I think that I want to take a stand if I ever do get any kind of modicum of fame that I want to be the undick celebrity.
That's a good goal.
I think I'm passing an opinion on to Joe from the chat.
Bring it on.
All right. Scott is just really, really, really into this idea of you writing a werewolf alien butt porn epic. And I guess he just wants to know something about that. I'm looking for his question.
Oh yeah, I mean that was from our insights from the last episode, and you know, we'll see where that goes. I feel like being purely butt porn is too exclusive. Why limit it there?
Do some
Why not
ear porn?
Why not make it? You know, let's just bust this thing wide open. You know, just werewolves everywhere doing whatever. You know,
you could do that.
Spread the love.
There's a market for it.
It would sell.
Write what you want.
Who's to say it's not already out? I've got to be doing something in this time when people are waiting for my book.
Oh, that's true.
You're not reading.
Riddle us this. How do you know?
Look
already a well-established.
Look at words within my draft. Find words. Find anagrams. One of those decodes into a secret pen name.
This is really deep.
Where all the pornographic material is.
So this is basically like Dick Vinci's code, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay.
Everything I do, including this episode, is subtext. And there's always a secret hidden meaning.
Wow.
So
on that note, Joe would like to thank everybody for watching.
Yes, so that brings us to the end of our episode. So
Part one.
If you enjoyed this, and hit us with some feedback if you like these shorter episodes, and you want to you like that, or you want us to keep them longer. Just let us know what you're thinking from being the people that are actually listening and show up every week, which we
really
appreciate. And
hey, Christine, is the thing still live? The the thing
survey. Take the survey.
Survey. Thank you. Yeah. Is the survey still live? Where we can still share?
You can take it. It only takes like a minute. It's easy questions.
Quite short.
So what Joe's saying is, if you haven't taken the survey yet, do that, because a lot of the things that he's asking for feedback on specifically are things that we've put on the survey, like length of the show, stuff we talked about in the show, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easy way to give feedback.
And just spread the love around. I mean, you know, the more people that come to us and as your Monday buddies, the more effective and the more entertaining we get. It's actually, there is a curve of the more viewers that I see in the corner there, the more entertaining we all get. It becomes like some sort of like energy life force. So I challenge you, the viewers, to get more people over here and see us work our magic. And if I don't think if you notice this, let me see where this is a mirror here. So like there's a right here I have a magic portal. I know if you guys have noticed that I always keep a sheet or a thing blocking the attic. It's because there's a magic portal in my house that I didn't want to tell anybody about. But it's hard to see. It's actually the Last Supper. So
that's where Joe keeps his Pokemon.
Yes, I have a magic portal to the Last Supper, and if you so now the secret's out.
I love Karen's face.
No wonder you have like a Dick Vinci code thing. You have a magic portal to the Last Supper.
What the heck are you talking about? What does this have to do with anything?
So No, Christine, I think you need to add an extra thing to the survey that says if you want to see Joe talk about more random shit, click here. If Joe is being too sane for your liking, click here.
Just send him more alcohol. That's all you got to do.
That's true.
And he wasn't even drinking tonight, was he?
No, I'm not drinking. Just, carbonated water.
I think the bubbles went to your head, dude.
No, it's all good.
It's that portal energy is seeping into your brain.
The radiation.
I'm going to open another one right now. So that will wrap up the show for today. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time where we do part 2 of Crowdfunding 101, Crowdfunding 102,
Crowdfunding 102.
or we all burst into flames. So, we'll,
I didn't see that in the notes, Joe.
So, may your drinks be shared.
May your drinks be shared.
Be shared.
Woo-hoo.